Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast, part of the Bet Rivers Network. We come to you on this Monday evening, and the fallout from the Giant game continues, and we got so much reaction that people ask for responses about. So we figured we'd jump up here and get into it a little bit. Now, we got into it after the game last night, and everything I said I stick with. Um, I'll get to a couple of points that seem to have been big today, but I still think. And I understand people wanna lump this loss in, like, with games that were devastating. First of all, this was not as big as the fumble. The fumble changed the franchise completely, okay? That was something that you could not come back from, number 1. If you lose a playoff game, you don't compare it to this. I mean, listen, to me, they're acting like this win would have put the Giants in the playoffs or something. The Giants aren't going to the playoffs this year. What they're going to be is a team that is developing a way of playing, that is developing an identity and developing a franchise quarterback. And they are going to be a very dangerous out every single week. And this should be a fun time for them because they can go after these teams, go after the Eagles and go after the Niners and go after the Packers and go after the Lions and have a ball. And you know what? Next year, there will be expectations for them with the additions they add on, with the things they do to supplement what they have now and what they're building, that they could make the playoffs next year. That's next year. Let's talk about this year. And again, the biggest mistake that everybody makes when you have this kind of all-time loss, the idea that they had no points and they scored 33 points in the fourth quarter. And okay, the fact that the Giants were at 99% win, when you have these classic games, the one that is the most classic of all time, of course, is the Patriot Atlanta Super Bowl. What people do is they look at the game and then they say, "Oh, you should have done this, you should have done that, you should have done this." Uh-uh. The only thing that is fair here is that you look at it in real time because that's the only way you can explain the decisions, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent. You cannot explain them in a post-game setting where you know the result and look at the game from that standpoint. You have to take it in real time. Like a lot today has been made about the 3rd and 5 play, and I completely disagree with the premise that he had to run the ball there. So you had to run the ball there on 3rd down at that juncture in the game. They've scored twice, okay? It's 3rd and 5 with 4:56. Denver has 1 timeout. You gotta get rid of that timeout. Oh, really? That timeout was so important? Let's get to how important later on it was. Is there any way you know that if they run the ball into the line, either they run Scatterbo when he gets 2 yards, or he runs the ball, now you're gonna tell me that they're gonna run it for first down? Well, you don't know that. The odds are they're not gonna run it for a first down. They're gonna punt. So they're gonna use their last timeout. So they're still gonna get the ball back with the same amount of time, but they're gonna have used their last timeout. Well, we'll find out how important that timeout turned out to be, okay? I have no problem with them allowing him to throw the ball there. They didn't ask him to rip a difficult, really insane 17-yard in cut. They asked him to try and get a first down there. Now, when Daboll answered the question today, he wasn't asked it after the game last night. When he was asked the question today, he talked about, I have confidence in Dart, which is part of it. What he should have told you, and he didn't, which shows you where he is so lacking on the sideline, is this is Denver. My team had played a terrific game, but my defense was getting tired. Teams run down in the fourth quarter in Denver. Sean Payton coaches to have teams run down in the fourth quarter in Denver because it is always the case. And the Giants were getting tired. Do you know how long it took Denver? Now, he throws the pick there, which flipped the field. So now you got a short field and a quick touchdown. Well, you didn't want a quick touchdown, right? Well, at 26-23, they kicked the ball back to the Giants with 2 and change left, okay? And the Giants kept the ball. No, it was a little more than that. It was 3 it was 3 and change. 26 26-23. I'll give you the exact number of where the game was as far as when the Giants got the ball back, okay? 26-23. Giants get the ball back with 3:45. They kept it for 1 minute on clock time. Denver used their last timeout. At that point, when Denver got the ball back on their own 32-yard line, do you know how long it took them to score? Just guess. 44 seconds. From their own 32, 6 plays into the end zone, 42 seconds. That timeout that was so costly. Well, Denver now had the lead by 4, and there was still 151 on the clock. That's how important that was. So when you try to tell me that running the ball there would have guaranteed you a victory by kicking it to them, that is complete, utter nonsense. Number 2, Daboll is coaching this player like he isn't your normal rookie quarterback. He is coaching him like he is something different. They are allowing him to play the position full out, no training wheels. No simple reads, no half the fields, no easy throws. They are letting him play the game. That was not an impossible or a very tough throw that he had to make. What happened was 2 things, and I have to ask him part of the question to know for sure. Number 1, the linebacker dropped off, looked like he was coming and then dropped back into coverage. Okay? Very normal procedure. Number 2, Dart slipped when he threw the ball. And he didn't get it past the linebacker who intercepted it. It happens. He made a bad play. But to me, the mentality of coaching him and pumping him up with that kind of confidence and letting him play with that kind of abandon is why he was able to make a play that I'm telling you 98, 99 out of 100 rookie quarterbacks would never play and never make. And I'm talking about the 4th and 19 play at his own end when he ripped the first down to Robinson and got 15 on top of it for getting whacked. It is the mentality that allowed him to throw the ball on 3rd and 5 with 4:56 left is why he was able, after a terrible start to the drive, a sack, a penalty, all of a sudden it is 4th and 19 in his own end. He's down now. He's got no chance. Maybe if you get a flag, it's a Hail Mary. Boom, he rips a 19-yarder for a first down. You know how good that throw was? You know how special that throw was? To me, he doesn't make that throw if you don't let him play the game the way he's playing it right now. Now, what Daboll didn't say, and that scares me, was that my defense was getting gassed. And they were getting tired. That's what happens in Denver, and you would think he would know that I tried to get a first down there to control the game because my defense was getting gassed. He didn't say any of that. Why? Because he's not a good game coach. And this is so lacking in the modern coach. These guys are specialists, and everybody wants to hire quarterback whisperers and offensive gurus. These guys, unless they go get an alpha male who can run the defense without any input from the offensive-minded head coach, which is what you had in Daboll's one successful year. The reason why they were successful was what Wink Martindale did on defense, but they grew to hate each other. They couldn't coexist. He needs that kind of defensive coordinator. He needs a Rex Ryan. Except Rex Ryan would think he was coaching the team because that's how Rex thinks. Rex hits 250 and talks 400. I mean, that's what he always does. That's what he did as a coach. He had his good days, he had his moments, but he always made it that he was better than he was. He talked better than he was. And that's why he's where he should be right now, because he can say anything he wants and there's no repercussions. He's undefeated because he's in the studio. But he always talked the big game. But he's a terrific defensive coordinator. What a great head coach. Same thing with his father. His father was a solid head coach. Never won a playoff game. But his father was one of the great defensive coordinators who ever lived. Some guys are meant to be coordinators. I've always believed Rex was meant to be a coordinator because that's what he is. But if you're going to make the leap to head coach, the successful ones, Andy Reid. Now, he has a great defensive coordinator. It doesn't mean Andy doesn't run the whole show. He does. Sean Payton, he runs the whole show. You have to, as a head coach, and that also means putting the right people on the bus to the game. How is that kicker in a uniform? Did I know he was going to miss 2 extra points? No. Did Daboll know he was going to miss 2 extra points? No. But he's not good enough to be playing. How many times are they going to, because of the Gano's absence, get hurt during a game? Now, you get injuries in the secondary and guys who stink get in the game. It happens. It happens to every team. Guys get hurt. They get hurt on the offensive line. They get hurt on the defensive line. They get hurt in the secondary. And then teams take advantage of it. That's what football's about. It's a war of attrition. You lose your left tackle, they start attacking the left tackle. Because the backups are not nearly as good as the starters if they were to be starters. That's the way it works. So Dart, what makes this game so much different, and then I will get to your emails, is that usually in these classic meltdown games, these, historic meltdown games, one team collapses, the other team, wins the game. Here you had a change of the lead. Denver takes a 4-point lead. Dart takes him right back down the field. Yes, did he force penalties? Yes, but he ripped off a 4th and 19 play. That was amazing. And then he kept putting pressure on the defense. And the way this league is different now is years ago, late in games, they didn't want to throw the 40-yard, 50-yard pass interference flag. Now they don't care. They'll throw it all day. They could care less. They'll throw that flag all the time. And I'm not getting into whether it was a good flag, bad flag. They'll throw the flag, though. And that's made defense in those spots even harder. But he gets in the end zone. And then people say, oh, well, he should have used the clock. And what do you, come on now. I mean, what are you playing here? Computer football? Listen, you don't know if you're going to score. You got to score. You're in real time. The idea is get the ball in the end zone. If your team can't stop them in 30 seconds, well, you go home. They couldn't stop him. They couldn't stop him. I'll get to that part in a minute. Let me get to some emails first, okay? Because I know you guys have a lot about this game. So let me pop them up here. Remember, Mike Francesa podcast.com, gmail.com. Now, as far as the newsletter, sign up for the free Mike Francesa newsletter. You'll get exclusive content, contests, and all the different goodies, MikeFrancesApodcast.com, and sign up. Now, let's start with Steve. With what we've seen so far, if you were drafting today, how would you rank these quarterbacks? 3 from last year and 2 from this year. Williams, Daniels, and May, Dart, and Ward. Well, if we're going to be fair, I've told you this year a lot that Mays has, more than any player in the league, emerged this year from where he was to stardom. He's made the biggest leap inside this season of any player in the league. He is now on the verge of stardom. Daniels came in last year and had a incredible season. The second year has been obviously injury prone. He just suffered another injury last night. I would have to go Daniels 1, May 2. And as far as Dart, I need to see more than just a couple of games, but Dart has a chance to be as good or better than anybody in this group. He reminds me a little bit of Favre. He reminds me a young Favre. He reminds me a little bit of Josh Allen. Both rough around the edges, both kind of like Colts you got to break. Dart, though, has that quality, that unbridled enthusiasm, the energy, but he handles the ball and sees the field much better than they did. Much. I mean, 100 times better. He sees the field and actually buys time in the pocket better than any rookie quarterback I've seen in a very long time. Now, Troy, is this loss recoverable? Or will this undo all momentum and be the end of the Daboll tenure? I know a lot of people yelled for Daboll to be fired off this game. Did he make some mistakes in this game? Yes, because he's responsible. So when the defensive coordinator screws up, he's responsible. When that kicker is here, he's responsible. The bottom line is, the way to look at this is, I think, I see more positives in yesterday than negatives. I know they lost, but I didn't think if they won yesterday, they're going to the playoffs. To me, they had, and I said it to you last night, and I completely am behind it. The Giants have begun their ascent. I have no issue with that. The cycle of misery is over. Daboll has got to become a better head coach, and he has got to get his staff right. He also has got to work with this general manager and understand that when you bring a roster to the game, you bring people to the game for a reason. You don't bring people to the game who do not belong coming to the game. That kicker should never have been in a uniform. It's not good enough. They have got to fix those problems, and they've lingered. Now, when they call the wrong defense, okay, I thought that it was shocking how little pressure Denver got on Dart on his go-ahead drive in the last 2 minutes. The league is such now, and that's why when the Giants rush 3, this is as dumb can be. This league is built one way now. The offenses are sophisticated. The receivers are incredible in terms of size, athleticism, the ability to go up for the ball. And the rules make it almost impossible to play legitimate defense. Why? Because everything is based on points. The NFL's machine, which includes fantasy, cannot work if you don't have points. They want points. They don't want 10-7 games. They want points. They want excitement. Red zone channels, scoring changes, fantasy, blah, blah, blah. They want all that. Props on each player and everything else that goes with this craziness that is out there now. But that is why the sport is more popular than any sport has ever conceived to be, and is without question the number one entertainment package in America. There's nothing in America as valuable to anybody as the NFL is to the people who own it. I don't think this will slow the Giants down. I think they will go to Philly with a head of steam. That doesn't mean they're going to beat the Eagles, but they're going to make them win the game, and they're going to play them off their feet. And I think what this team is doing is they are opening eyes. And you know what? The offensive line now has a physical quality to it for the first time in years. They're winning battles. They're pushing people. The defense is making some plays, and I still don't like the way they use the personnel they have up front. They have personnel up front which should make them a absolutely feared defense. They are not that right now. And the idea of dropping 8 and rushing 3 is the dumbest thing you could ever do. The only chance you have in these situations now is to get the quarterback off his mark or get him on the ground. If you're going to let him stand back there in a safe pocket, he is going to make a play. And Knicks did 29 yards down the field, the Mims, boom. And then a play that Sean had put in Saturday afternoon was the play that was the clincher. He put it in the walkthrough. They had not tried it. They had not done it. They put it in the walkthrough. And it worked to perfection. Knicks made really good throws. They executed tremendously well, and then they win the game on the field goal. I mean, you can't handle the last seconds of the game any better than they did. But the idea of rushing 3 and dropping 8, I mean, and if you're yelling at your defensive coordinator, you know what? You should be telling him, "Hey, pressure the quarterback." You're the head coach. Let him pick the pressure. Just tell him pressure the quarterback. The only way you can stop teams in those situations is to get the quarterback off his mark, running for his life, or on the ground. Nothing else works anymore. The offenses have an insane advantage. Joseph, would it have made more sense to go for 2 after every touchdown without an NFL level kicker on the roster? No. Hey, why didn't they have an NFL level kicker on the roster? This guy didn't get hurt during the game. If a guy gets hurt during the game and he pulls a hamstring or gets a concussion, whatever, you make do. You put the punter in or you don't kick. And you go for 2 every time. That's a necessity. They brought a healthy kick into the game who stunk. That's terrible management. That's terrible coaching. That's their job. You can't do that, go home. He has got to be better in these areas. And he's getting a lease on life right now because of his relationship and the fact that they are not going to want to make changes if they don't have to. And I think the Giants' play will allow them not to have to. They're going to want to keep continuity with Dart because that's what they are building on. And let's be honest, in the metropolitan area, Santa's going to be hauling a lot of 6 and 44 jerseys this Christmas. Okay, I mean you can take that to the bank. Joey, is there any chance Rex Ryan is an option for defensive coordinator? No. See, Rex doesn't want to be a defensive coordinator. Rex thinks some team should roll out the red carpet, blare the trumpets, and make him a head coach at some astronomical figure, because that's how much he thinks of himself. I don't think Rex is coaching anymore. Johnny, is this a defensive collapse that falls on scheme or players? It falls on both. Number one, you have to recognize when your defense is tired and substitute. That defense was gassed in the fourth quarter. They're in Denver. Defenses fade, teams fade in Denver. That's why they have these fourth quarter comebacks, because they know they have an advantage when they're home, playing in altitude. That's number one. Number two, you cannot drop 8 in the coverage and rush 3 and allow them all that time to pick the field. It doesn't work. So it is scheme. It is player performance. It always is. It's not one thing. It's everything. Are they strong right now at defensive coordinator? No. Are they strong on this coaching staff right now as far as the game conditions? No. Play calling, game planning as far as the offense with Dart, much more creative, especially since they lost the big receiver. They're utilizing their tight end packages very well. They're getting a lot out of Scatterbo. The offensive line has picked it up enormously, but he's got to be the head coach. You know what? If he wants to be an offensive coordinator, then change. You know what? Become the giant offensive coordinator. Let somebody else become the head coach. If not, you have to be the head coach. That's your job. And so many guys limit themselves in this area and take so long to learn how to do the whole job that makes the good ones rare. That's why the good ones keep winning. Do you think that this is Clayton? Do you think the Giants will trade for a wide receiver even with a record of 2-5? I do. I think they will do it with an eye towards next year. Waddle's perfect. I still think they can afford him next year. Obviously, he's cheap this year. He is perfect because when the big receiver comes back, he is a perfect complement to him as a number 2 receiver. I think he's a very solid player. I think he's an underrated player. I've heard there already been in serious discussions. I think Waddle makes plenty of sense, and I think they should still do it because I think giving Dart this weapon the rest of the way, Dart's development and building an identity, building a culture the rest of this year, even if it ends with a losing record, but a lot of excitement. The games at home are going to be fun. The fans are going to be there. They're going to be screaming. They're going to be going wild because they like to watch this team play now. And this team is going to scare people. They're going to beat people. They're not going to win every game. They're not going to go to the playoffs, but they're going to scare people and they're going to upset people. And they should upset somebody yesterday. And it fell apart. John, how does this compare to Pasosic, the Niner playoff game? The Pasosic play, the game was over. It is a level of ineptitude that cannot be tolerated. And it changed the franchise completely. So it was the best thing that ever happened to the Giants in retrospect. The playoff game, you can't compare yesterday to a playoff game. You can't even compare it to the Deshaun Jackson play. It was a bitter loss. They should have won. But this team, if they were coming back 3-4, yes, they have turned the corner. Yes, they are no longer a dead piece. But I don't see them as a playoff team this year. I never did. Chris, what would be the best way to manage Dart's aggressiveness and confidence without changing too much of who he is and what makes him special? You're saying it. They are allowing Dart to play the position with nothing, with no training wheels, with no freshman, no rookie guards that are put in place to keep them from driving it off the road. They aren't worried about Dart driving it off the road. They're giving Dart a chance to win the game. And that's what he was doing on 3rd and 5. He was trying to let Dart win the game. First down there, the game's over. Okay? He slipped. I'm not sure if he caught the dropping linebacker right away or not. I'd have to ask him. But when he went to throw it, he clearly slipped and he didn't get the ball past the linebacker who made a play, and it happens. Dart's going to throw interceptions. He's going to make mistakes, but he's making so many more positive plays than the negative plays. Leave it alone. And like I said, the 4th and 19 never happens if you don't let him take that mentality onto the field. And when he went to the podium, the only thing he dwelled on was the mistake he made in the game, even though he had come back and vindicated that by taking the lead. It wasn't on him, but he still made it about him. Because you know what? The kid knows what it takes to lead that team. And if you're a real quarterback, your job isn't just to play the position. Your job is to lead the team. You're the guy. That's why that position, you can be a quiet, you can be Soto and be a quiet superstar. You can be Judge and be a quiet superstar. When you're quarterback, You demand performance from you demand that they are responsible, you demand that they know their roles, and that they understand the concepts, and that they're all on the same page. You demand this of your teammates because that's your job. And Dart gets that already. I saw him rallying the defensive guys, and already they treat him like he's a 5-year veteran. Because you know why? Because he's changed their fortunes. He's lifted them out of the abyss, and they know it, and they want to be part of it. That's how important he is to what they're doing right now. Do you think Daboll bought himself another year? I think he's on his way to staying. First of all, I think that the organization wants that. Listen, there's a lot going on in the organization right now. Everyone knows John's sick, and we send them our best wishes and our prayers. And that will impact this organization in some way going forward. Um, the bottom line is that I think and I know this for a fact. There are people who have influence inside that organization from the outside of the organization who are who have a voice and carry weight, and they want Dable to succeed. They like Dable. They want Dable to succeed. I think they will listen. He can't have a whole bunch of like yesterday's. He's got to be a better game manager, and he's got to understand the concept of head coach. But I believe they want him to be here, and they want him to lead this player. They now believe that they have a player who can take them to the promised land. Is that putting a lot on Dart's shoulders? Yes. But you know what? They think that they finally, after wandering around and just out of it for so many years, that they found the answer. And you know what? I think they're right. Paul, I think a lot of people are forgetting that the Giants and Dart are doing this without neighbors. Isn't that a big part that he does not have? Is he going to be better with neighbors? Yes. But that's where I finally have given Dable some marks for being able to change things a little bit, utilizing the two tight ends, utilizing the different personnel, dusting off other wide receivers. Dart doesn't care. See, Dart, remember, he's a rookie. He'll throw the ball to the janitor. He doesn't care who he throws the ball. He'll throw the ball to the mailman. He doesn't care who he throws the ball to. You're open, he'll throw you the ball. He's not thinking, boy, I don't know if you're good enough to catch this ball. Hey, he's going to throw the ball to whoever the hell is out there. Is it better to have neighbors out there? Yeah, obviously. And he'll be ready for him when he comes back. But they're moving the football. They're moving it on the ground. They're moving it with Scatterboo. They're moving it with Dart's legs. They're moving it with his passing. They're moving it with what he's bringing to the table. And I can't remember watching a rookie quarterback have better vision than he has. He sees the field completely, and he buys time in the pocket. And those are qualities that you can't teach. You can try and teach it. A lot of guys aren't going to learn it. He's got it, and he's got it in abundance. With all the attention that Dart and Scatterboo are getting, has Carter flown under the radar? Yes. Yes. I also think they have utilized him poorly. Very poorly. I think they've been unfair to him. But you know what? He's a rookie. They have a lot of weapons up front. I don't like the way they've utilized their weapons. I think they need to be far more scary. Burns is having a big year, but they need to be far more dangerous up front. They need to scare people up front. They need to wreck games up front. They have the personnel to do that, and I'm hoping that you will see that in the weeks to come. Has Dart's ability to move made the offensive line look better than they are? He has made everybody better. Everybody. And the offensive line obviously has been aided by finally getting back a very good player who has obviously been injured a lot. And that has solidified that line. That line is playing much better. And you saw plays where they're beating people up with their offensive line. When was the last time you saw that from the Giants? You'd have to go back to the days of, go back to the days of guys like Snee and Soybert and Sean and guys like that. I mean, they're actually moving people now, and they're winning battles in the pass protection. They're doing a heck of a job right now. He has, they have energized everybody. They have, it has run through the units, it's run through the entire organization, and it's running through this city, and it's going to run through that stadium. And that's why yesterday, hey, it's a setback. But I'll tell you, the fact that they went into Denver and played that game, and not only that, Denver at home in as loud a building, and I've been in that building. I've been in the stands in that building. That building is as loud as there is in football. It's a rough place to play, especially as the sun's going down. And I'll tell you, the fact that they blew the lead was bad. It was terrible. There were a lot of breakdowns. But you know what? The fact that he was able to take the team down the field and stick it back in the end zone is remarkable. And it speaks volumes about what they are trying to build right now if they don't screw it up. And that's what you should take from yesterday. Hey, I don't know if Daboll's going to be a good enough head coach to get the job done. I don't know. I think he's going to get next year. I think he's going to get a chance to turn this around and be here a while. And we're going to find out. And he's got to get a better staff, and he's got to get better coaching on the defensive side of the ball. No question. Hey, in my mind, the reason they went to the playoffs and had that surprising year was Wink. Wink's defense, his uncanny blitz calls, that was the reason the Giants did what they did. They shocked people with that stuff. Now, he and Wink couldn't live together. Okay? It happens. And Daboll's the boss. But when you lose Wink Monday, you got to go out and get somebody who can coach the defense. And I'll tell you right now, if you had Wink Mondale and this defensive personnel, hold on to your hat. There'd be some quarterbacks in a lot of trouble. So I know the game hurt yesterday. I understand that. And you're going to hear, oh, nobody loses a game with 4:56 on the clock and this. Nobody loses a game with an 18-point lead with this time. And nobody does this and nobody does that. And gave up 33 points in the fourth. All true. All true. And we can cite the mistakes and we can go pinpoint the plays. And every one of them has to link to the next one or it doesn't work. But the bottom line is where this one's a little different is after all that trouble, they came back and took the lead. Did they fail on defense after that? Yes. They did. They failed. But they came back and took the lead with that quarterback. And you know what they were talking about after that game? That quarterback. I mean, Sean Payton was talking about that quarterback after the game yesterday. Told Mr. Mara. I guess he told him a couple weeks ago, "Hey, don't play him until we get past me, and then let him rip." You know what? It's fun to watch. It really is, and that's what I take from this, and that's what this is gonna be. So, I understand that you're starved for wins, and you wanna win games, and you wanna go to the playoffs, but this year is not about making a playoff visit. This year is about building an identity and establishing this quarterback and this group of young players. And Scadaboo is already established. And I told you on draft day that you were going to love Scadaboo. Scadaboo last year played the. I've watched a lot of college football in my life. Scadaboo last year played the best game I've ever seen a collegian play, ever. It was a joke where he got drafted. Give the Giants credit for drafting him. And give the Giants credit for Dart because you know what? I didn't know about Dart, and I heard a lot of people knocking Dart. And if he's right about Dart, he deserves to get his job saved. But that doesn't make him a complete head coach. If he wants to stay, if he wants to win, if he wants to be here when Dart's playing for big stakes, then he's got to be a much better head coach and a much better game coach. It has to improve. So while he's focusing on Dart, understand you're the head coach. That means you decide who's there, who makes the game, who's getting dressed. And I learned a long time ago from some very good coaches nobody comes to the game, nobody's dressed unless there's a reason for putting them in the uniform. Give me a reason to put you, if you're a backup wide receiver, the last wide receiver, or the last running back, or the last deep back. Give me a reason why I'm bringing you. You're going to make a play on special teams. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. Don't bring a kicker who doesn't belong. Are you telling me this week that was your evaluation to bring this guy to the game? They have to be better than that. Because there's two themes here, and the bigger theme is the Giants have begun their ascent, and this quarterback, let's just say, it's going to make the rest of the season very interesting. Now, the Jets for a second, I know, hey, there is two teams in town. I watched Glenn today. Not surprisingly, he didn't name a starting quarterback. The reason why, he doesn't have a starting quarterback. I demanded Tyrod Taylor 2 weeks ago. I didn't get him. I demanded him yesterday. Got him. When Fields was in the game, it was not an NFL level offense. With Taylor, it was. Although I thought he threw too many deep balls. Now he threw one. It should have been caught in the end zone. It was a very good throw. He makes very good throws. He has accuracy. Fields has absolutely zero. Plus, Fields just holds the ball too long and has no concept of playing the position. I don't know if he's going to start Taylor or Fields. See, Taylor's not a long-term starter. I can tell you right now, if he starts, he'll get hurt within 3 weeks because he's old and he's brittle. He's a backup. He's a backup. He's a backup who can play. He's a backup who can win a game, but he's a backup. But if you're asking me right now, and if you're going by the credo you should be going by, which is who gives me the best chance to win the game this week, well, then Taylor has to be the starting quarterback by default. It's not even an issue. Fields cannot be the starting quarterback. Go out and get a quarterback off the street. It's the Giants to send you, Leonard James Winston. I mean, the bottom line is they need somebody to play the position. I don't want Taylor to start. I want him to relieve. But I think he's got to start. If it comes down to him or Fields, he's got to start. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. We'll see you later.